Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm going to be talking about Episode 6 of Season 1 of The Legend of Korra called And the Winner Is. As always, we have a huge amount of things to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Now this all starts off looking like it's going to be sort of another breather episode, your typical duel with the obnoxious jocks, and that lasts for just a couple minutes before everything gets turned on its head. And wow, I have to say that this episode, in terms of visuals, was absolutely spectacular. I know some people have complained about the CGI looking a little obvious. Well, folks, remember, this is a television budget, not a $200 million Hollywood picture. And considering that, I think the show looks absolutely fantastic. So let's kind of continue on with things. One thing that I haven't seen people talking about, and it's actually a little bit annoying to me, is that they're comparing the Equalists to the Nazis. Now, okay, I can definitely see one or two parallels here, but really, I'm a little tired of how whenever there's an evil organization in just about any fiction, people automatically run and start comparing to them to the Nazis. Given the Nazis' goals, this is really not wrong. I mean, yes, they were about getting rid of the people they considered impure, but the Equalists really aren't about killing people. I mean, there certainly seem willing to do so, but they're really about ridding the world of bending. It's like in olden times when they would go out and try and cleanse heresy. So really, if you want to compare anybody, any sort of evil organization from history to the Equalists, I wouldn't go to the Nazis. I would go to the Spanish Inquisition. Now, to just be real clear and real short here, the Inquisitors thing was basically tracking down folks like Jews and Muslims and forcing them to convert to Catholicism, often quite literally at the point of a sword or after a nice round of torture. And the Equalists, while they're not quite at that level just yet, they certainly show no hesitation in using force, and it is, as I have said, taking away someone's bending. Just look at Tano's reaction. He's willing to give them on anything, just leave his bending intact. It is, as I have said, ripping out a piece of someone's spirit, taking away almost a piece of their soul. So you can understand why he is so horribly freaked out by this. But anyway, continuing on with this, another thing that occurred to me while I was watching this episode is that there is a very real parallel in history to what we are seeing with the attack on the arena. And if you're not familiar with this, this is an event that happened back in 1972 called the Munich Massacre. Now I'm going to give you the abridged version of what happened. Back in 72, Munich, Germany was hosting that year's Olympic Games. During all of this, some terrorists snuck into the Olympic compound and managed to take 9 members of the Israeli Olympic team, athletes, coaches, and such, hostage. They were basically going to try and take these guys. They demanded a plane and were going to go and off to some unnamed country in the Middle East. But basically, to put it bluntly, they tried to rescue the athletes. The German forces did. Everything went to hell, and ended up all the terrorists died. Most of the terrorists died, and all of the Israeli athletes were killed. Now, remember, this is happening at the Olympic Games. So the whole drama is literally being beamed across the world, reported by some very, very freaked out sports announcers. Not unlike what happens to poor Shiro Shinobi, that's the name of the announcer guy that we see in this episode. And that particular incident was basically the start of basically the birth of modern counterterrorism, and it even led directly to Germany forming an organization called GSG9, who are their top anti-terrorism guys, and they are quite literally among the best anti-terrorism units in the entire world. So, that was, to put it mildly, a very big deal in recent modern history. Excuse me. Okay, so anyway, yes, that was a very big deal in fairly recent modern history, and I can't help but think that that was probably an inspiration for what we saw happen tonight. But let's talk about a few other things. Of course, our big shock in terms of characters is that Lin and Tenzin were involved, and it was Lin that Pima won Tenzin away from. Um, Sadly, this doesn't really get expanded on too much because of the action. But one thing that did occur to me while we were seeing all this play out is that Lin's relationship with Korra actually reminds me a lot of Harry Potter's relationship with Professor Snape. As we've seen, Lin obviously still has some anger and who knows what else in terms of feelings around what happened with Tenzin and Bima. But Tenzin shows us that he understands Lin well enough that with just a few words, he's able to get her to put those feelings aside and work with him for the greater good. And I think because of that, and this is just my impression here, Lin, whatever her feelings are, she really can't bring herself to direct too much anger at Tenzin because he has her figured out. He knows how to get her to calm down, and really she's just sort of Lin. I mean, is sort of using Korra as a surrogate. She's someone that she can take that anger at Tenzin out on. And like with Harry and Snape, Harry did some pretty jerky things that certainly would cause Professor Snape to have a less than positive opinion of him. Just the same way that Korra showed up in town, trashed a bunch of stuff, and acted as a vigilante. So, Lynn does have some legitimate reasons to be unhappy with her. But as I have said, I think it's probably just Lynn pushing some misdirected anger onto Korra, who, let's face it, from what we've seen, is more or less now almost an unofficial member of Tenzin's family. But of course, we do get to finally see them earning each other's respect, and obviously Korra's bravery in taking the fight, trying to take the fight to Amon. It's not no words are ever said. It's all in just the visuals of Lin's expression when she sees what Korra is trying to do, her determination, her doing what the Avatar should do. And remember, Tenzin said that she and Aang got along wonderfully. So I think it's fairly safe to say that Lin has probably seen the Avatar out there doing what the Avatar should be doing, which is trying to bring balance to the world and, of course, to help people. So it really isn't surprising to me that if she sees that Korra is demonstrating those values, that she is going to soften her stance on her a little bit. But let's see, what else? Oh yeah, one thing I do have to give a mention to is after what we saw in the Voice in the Night episode, Korra's just absolute terror of Amon. That moment when she is trying to put a stop to him, where she just takes a moment, and you can see it. There are no words needed. Her just taking a moment to screw her courage up, to find that determination, and to overcome that fear. It is nice to see that while Amon definitely did, knock Korra down a peg, Korra has the strength, the resolve, the will to get right back up and charge at him. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And I was just absolutely floored by some of the way that Korra was using her bending, particularly the water bending, the way she just rose up in there. It was, honestly, exactly the sort of way Aang would have used air. And for some odd reason, I was reminded of more than a little bit of Aquaman in that particular moment. But anyway, we've got quite a lot of other things to talk about. Let's knock a few of them out real quick. We were told when the show was in production that the legacy of the Cabbage Merchant would be felt, and we did get that mention of Cabbage Co. I was very amused by that. Let me see. We saw the the Equalists using technology they apparently stole from Tony Stark, and so unfortunately, I don't think Korra is going to be able to count on the Avengers or just Iron Man himself to show up and sort this out. She's going to have to rely on a little help from the metal bending cops and that swinging technique that they doubtlessly stole from Spider-Man. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I haven't mentioned this in my earlier reviews, but I have to give a shout out to the voice of Amon's main lieutenant, who is of course voiced by the one and only Lance Hendrickson. He's a guy been in millions of million nerdy movies. He's also, of course, best known as being Frank Black on the old show Millennium, and the voice of Master Nos Darl in Star Wars: The Old Republic. So yeah, Lance Hendrickson. Oh yeah, and he was Bishop in Aliens. I almost forgot. Let me see. Let's see. One other. As long as we're talking about the Equalists and their technology, this brings up another very classic theme from more modern storytelling, and that is the idea of technology versus nature. And Amon even blatantly says that, here the technology, the Iron Man tech, which is what I'm going to insist on calling it, is what it can finally put ordinary humans on equal footing with the Benders. And remember, of course, that bending is something you're born with. It is part biology, part your spiritual essence. So here, you quite literally have technology versus nature. And that's a question, a struggle that we face even now in our modern society. There are no easy answers to this. I mean, just look at Republic City and you can see the wonders and benefits of technology. But you also have to wonder if maybe, where is the line? How do we maintain that balance between technology and nature? Because for all our technology, humans are still a part of nature. And frankly, nature can still kick our butt. I mean, just look at what earthquakes, tornadoes, forest fires, any number of natural disasters can smash cities flat. Okay, so let's see. One thing that I do have to give this episode some credit for is that people had expressed some unhappiness with the whole pro-bending thing. They just sort of saw that it was a distraction. And here, of course, we see it tied together. But I think Mako's little speech about how the arena is the one place where benders and non-benders can come together does do a lot to show why pro-bending is actually important to the overall story. He does make a genuinely legitimate point there. Let me see. Anything else? Oh yeah, I almost forgot. In terms of Lin Beifong, I don't know how I missed it before, but she has two rather interesting scars on her cheek. I'm hoping there's a story there, and then we do get to eventually see it. Anything else? Nope. I actually think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about this episode. Before I go, I have to, and this isn't something I normally do, but while screwing around on YouTube, I found a really wonderful Korra video that someone made. It uses images of Republic City set to the music from the opening to Game of Thrones, and it uses the architecture in a well, not obviously literally the same way. It's very much in keeping with the spirit of the Game of Thrones opening, and it's really just an absolutely incredibly well done video. I will throw a link up to it in the description. If you have a second, just go check it out. It's really wonderfully done. Anyway, I'm almost out of time, folks. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter as Who's Your Jedi. Until next time, I will see you and take care.